Hi everybody, it's Stella from The Beauty of Play. One of the things that we have done for our chemistry block is to make our own periodic table with watercolors. So join me as I go over how we're exploring the periodic table through our block. If you've been following me for a while, you know that we do a combination of both Charlotte Mason and Waldorf, with Waldorf being our main lesson block and our daily work being more Charlotte Mason style, short, succinct lessons or practice. Something that both of these pedagogies have in common is illustration, and I use that quite a bit in our homeschooling. One of the things that I have found in my years of homeschooling is when we copy something, we have to really study it in detail and pay close attention. And that is the reason that I decided to reproduce the periodic table through watercolor. We're using a larger size watercolor paper for this activity. The dimensions of the paper that I'm using are 30 by 40 centimeters. The periodic table that we are reproducing is a grid of 9 by 18, and because I want to work in whole numbers, I'm thinking in multiples of 9 and 18. In order to accomplish this, what I did was think in multiples of the grid numbers that I needed. For instance, I need 18 spaces going across. So I looked at how many multiples of 18 that I could get into the 40, and that was 2. This uses 36 centimeters, and it leaves me with 4 centimeters left over. I divide that by 2 and leave that as my border. So I measure 2 centimeters over from the left and then mark every 2 centimeters over. I also want to have a border in between each of these. So for each 2 centimeters that I mark, I go back in and mark 2 millimeters just inside that centimeter mark that leaves that white space in between each of the rectangles. I'm doing this same thing, going up and down vertically. I need 9 spaces, so I'm thinking in multiples of 9. I can get 3 of those, which gives me 27, and it leaves me 3 centimeters left over. I divide that in half, putting 1.5 centimeters at the top and the bottom for my border. To obtain the border around each of the rectangles, I do the same thing with this. Each time I mark a 3 centimeter mark, I go up just 2 millimeters above that and make another mark. This gives me the grid that we need to watercolor our periodic table. It also provides a great grid marking for putting the title of the periodic table in as well. Periodic table that we've been using for a reference is NIH's Chem periodic table, which is available online. It's a really neat periodic table because you can change to different properties of the periodic table, like state of matter or density, and it color codes the entire periodic table by those measurements. Setting that we're obviously using is the chemical group block. We were really inspired by their colors on their chart, so we decided to take our watercolor Starkmar colors and play with the color scheme to come up with a different set of colors for our table. Not only was it a lot of fun to mix up the different colors, but it was great as a review of color theory. The painting of the periodic table was done in one sitting, and each chemical group block was labeled with its own color. Notice the images at the beginning and the end of the video of my watercolor periodic table have a richness and a deepness that is beyond what you're seeing here as I'm painting. This is accomplished because there are several layers of the colors on top of each other. So a layer of a color is called a wash in watercoloring, and I have several washes that are allowed to dry, and then I'm repeating those colors. In some of the colors, I'm adding a slightly different color, particularly to the last two rows, because both of those are kind of turquoise in color, and I wanted one most definitely more blue and one most definitely more green so that they would be easily distinguished. From here, once our periodic table has been watercolored completely, we will spend periods of time studying one chemical group block at a time, reading about it, and then labeling it. We'll also use this grid to put a title and then erase all of the lines in between. In conjunction with this project, we'll also be making our own element cards for several of the elements in each of these chemical group blocks. We'll have different aspects of the periodic table on each of the cards, including density, atomic number, and the electron configuration in the back, as well as if it's a solid, liquid, or gas at room temperature. This will allow us to sort and see different trends in the periodic table, similar to what Chem Meds does when you change the aspect of the periodic table. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit like and subscribe if you want to see more, and feel free to share with a friend. I am currently writing this chemistry block as we do it in hopes that the guide will be available to you soon. For more on this chemistry block and all things homeschooling and math, go to thebeautyofplay.com and be sure to sign up for my newsletter.